Well, it's been a while, huh? This is the Begin Again podcast, and I am your host. Host isn't the right word, but my name is John. And I started this podcast, my gosh, like 9 years ago. After I had finished hiking the Appalachian Trail, and I wanted to do something for all these beautiful people that I met while I was hiking it. Then over the years, this podcast has kind of taken on new forms and shapes and taken on new things. And it began to be about me exploring things just for myself and then inviting y'all to come along. So sometimes I did like word studies and did interviews with people, but I fell off of doing this about a year and a half ago. And so I got a lot to catch up with you about. I've learned a lot of things and decided the way in which I want to tweak this. So this episode, I'm calling it Begin Again 3.0 because the first iteration of this, I actually called it Ambushed. And then I took a break and then came back and decided to call it Begin Again because I really like this Spanish mystic, Teresa of Avila, who wrote Interior Castle. I think she and that piece, it resonated with me the most. It was like the first Christian mystic that really hit hard for me. And she would tell her people that she would meet with in spiritual direction to begin again. And so why not keep calling it Begin Again? But this is kind of like the third startup for this. And here's what I wanted to do. I just want to share with you things that I've learned over the past year and a half, my thoughts about how this can continue moving forward and even ways that you can be a part of it. Okay? So, man, the past year and a half, things got really busy. And it's in part because I got a job with REI, which it's been a good ride overall in general. Working in retail is its own thing, but I needed to do it in order to get some health insurance and dental insurance because my other job is as a part-time professor, just an adjunct. And I only get work there every semester or so if a class is offered to me to teach. So I just fill in the gaps over there, but I needed to fill in some more gaps with REI because I needed to. And with that, a lot of my evenings and just time got taken up because it's a very social job, you could say. And I just didn't know how to go about doing all of it. But I think there was something else. I think it wasn't just my schedule got really busy. I think it's also, I kind of dried up. I kind of said all the things that I could say. And so I kind of needed like a year and a half just to pause and to read some new things and experience a little bit of life and go through certain conversations and things so that I all of a sudden had a surplus again and was ready to say something new. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. I actually have notes for about 36 different podcast topics that would just be me, and that's not even including this list of about 30 people that I'm going to try to reach out to see if we can do some interviews together. So there's a lot to go through, but here's the thing. A few years ago, I left church work because I didn't feel as though I could do ministry in the way that I felt respected my personality and interests and just the way that I understand the role of a pastor. And I think that was actually a necessary thing. It taught me a lot about institutionalism, and it taught me a lot about how we have so many gatekeepers who either give thumbs up or thumbs down to other people about whether or not they can move forward in ministry. And I kind of I discovered that most often people get a thumbs up to keep going in ministry if they're like a company man. They're ride or die for their denomination. And as long as they do ministry in a way that, at least in the West, resonates or overlaps with what it means to be a good American, you know what I mean? And I felt as though I just became more and more interested in the Christian mystics and the contemplative tradition. And I was trying to ask, well, how do I live a non-reactive, present life that's grounded in the Jesus tradition, yet isn't beholden to conventions and is willing to sometimes innovate? And that's just it. Like, for the most part, Christian institutions don't really seem interested in that because that's not really a moneymaker position or something of interest. But you know what it is? Those are the tasks or the questions of someone who's in the second half of life. So since the last iteration of the Begin Again podcast, I turned 40, and it wasn't terrifying. I wasn't sad about it in any way. Like it didn't really bother me at all, but it was like, oh, I'm definitely hitting the second half of life stuff chronologically. I think I was always interested in these topics beforehand, but in the past year and a half, I found that I'm less interested in having a title for myself. And I found that I feel less interested to have a large audience, which is definitely good. Like, that's definitely a healthy thing, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, all of that. And so I've instead just really enjoyed meeting with people. So over the past year and a half that this podcast has been on a hiatus, I still meet up with people for lunch and for coffee. And in the past year, I've been offering spiritual direction because I studied it for my second master's degree through Princeton. Took classes on spiritual formation, but also so much else, spiritual direction. And it's been lovely to meet up with people over Zoom and just listen to their life with them and try to tease out what are some of the themes that keep happening. What are the invitations? What kind of wisdom from the long Christian tradition might be applicable here? Like, it's been so interesting to have conversations with people like you who we start riffing on Meister Eckhart, who is a German Dominican preacher from 700 years ago, or Julian of Norwich from the 1600s, or to draw wisdom from the Dark Night of the Soul and St. John of the Cross, and looking at indigenous interpretations of the New Testament. It's just been so fascinating to meet up with people. And so if I haven't met up with you, please, I hope you look at my website and then go sign up for a session of spiritual direction. But also, in the past year and a half, I've put out another book, The Way of Holy Foolishness, and that was a rule of life. The last church I worked at, one of the last sermons I gave were 8 principles that I hoped people would take forward that were not doctrines, but were stances, or, like I said, a rule of life. I keep thinking of Pirates of the Caribbean, you know. They're more like guidelines about how to live a Christian life here and now. And that book did not sell well at all. I self-published it on Amazon. But you know what? The people that have read it have sent me emails or told me in person that they're like, man, this thing, bang for bang, page for page, has got a lot to it. And I'm very proud of that one. And also, I've been offering these online cohorts. I'm about to have another session of my first cohort, Fully Alive. We're going to do the second to last one. And it's a nice small group. They're all incredibly intelligent. They're so smart. I feel like I'm still learning, even though I'm the one that put together this online class. And I'm about to launch a second one. So I've been busy, but here's the thing. I think for a while I tried to make this and doing online classes and doing spiritual direction and speaking on retreats and trying to do pulpit supply. I tried to make that my full-time job, but it's just not possible. And I got frustrated. And so I would keep looking for all these other jobs. And guess what? I've applied to a lot of jobs around Philly just so that those could at least be the main income and I could still do this on the side because this is fulfilling. This creative work of writing books and cohorts and all this jazz. But they kept falling through. And each job denial would be a huge disappointment to me. And I think I had to get to a point of realizing I need to keep doing this stuff because this stuff is satisfying. This stuff gives meaning. I finish a session with this online cohort and I feel energized for the rest of the day. I get a lot out of this. I'd meet up with people in spiritual direction. It's just so fun. It feels so meaningful. It feels like, oh, this is what we're supposed to be doing for each other, with each other. And I just want to lean into it again. But in this iteration of Begin Again 3.0, I want to come at this from a different perspective. I think before it was a little bit of, here's what I think y'all might need to know about. And that's fine. You know, I kind of had the approach of, here's what I'm learning. But I kind of want to lean into that even further. Here's what I'm discovering. Here's what I'm learning. Here's something that I'm integrating. And so some of the people that I have on my list to reach out to do interviews with, I hope you also find them interesting. Because I think I'm just interested in being a whole person. I want to be emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually whole. And I think that's also the Jesus goal. I think that's the Christ project that Pierre Teilhard de Chardin talks about. The Christ project is about us all becoming whole. And I think I'm going to try to let that be the guiding thought or the guiding principle behind some of these new upcoming episodes that I have planned. And they're probably just going to be me sitting and talking just like this. And maybe I'll take the laptop outside so you might hear birds chirping or something. Excuse me. But I'd also be interested in interviewing some of you. So if you think you've got a story to tell, or you think you've got some growth or some learning that you've gained recently on your own faith journey, let's chat, man. Let's send me an email and let's set up a time, because I think we just need to hear from each other more often. We hear so much from people that already get the thumbs up from the institution. But let's be honest. A lot of us have outgrown the maturity point, the maturity level of certain institutions, and we just want to keep growing. And in order to do that, I think we just need each other more, you know? So here's the invitation, I guess, for you. Just keep listening. I have no interest in doing like social media or advertising or anything like that. So I'm just going to let this go on word of mouth. If you find episodes helpful, I hope you share them with people. If you haven't signed up for my weekly email, go ahead, sign up for it because it's free. Why not? It's got 5 quotes from church history and from all over that I think are helpful. And I'd love to do some spiritual direction with people. I'd love to maybe speak on retreats, and I'd love for you to join one of the cohorts I got. And right now there's one that's active, another one that's about to start. And both of those are on contemplative Christian spirituality in today's world. Fully Alive. The first one is meant for the average person. The second one is more geared towards people who are pastors or people in ministry. And then I've got plans for a third one just on the Enneagram, because I think in order for us to be well, we have to understand ourselves. And then understanding ourselves helps us to understand God. Know God, you know? So I don't know how to finish this. I hope this is just... I hope it just feels like we're sitting and talking at a coffee shop. I've had some people say that they like this podcast because it feels unpolished. And there's a place for that, you know? When things are stripped down, it feels... authentic isn't the right word. It just, not raw, it just feels human. And I'd love to lean into what it means to be human with you. So keep listening. We got some ones coming up. I hope you check out my website because new things are in the pipeline. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So this is, I guess you could say, the return of Begin Again. And thank you for listening. See ya.